Hi everybody, I'm Bill Whittle, and today I'm joined by a guy who's not only an author, he's a good friend of mine. Evan Sayet has spent an inordinate amount of time dissecting the liberal mind and distilling his observations for us in his sweet new book called The Kindergarden of Eden, How the Modern Liberal Thinks and Why He's Convinced That Ignorance is Bliss. Good to have you, buddy. We've been talking about doing this for a long time.
Good to be here. And by the way, I would have shortened that title because we're out of time now.
Yeah, that's right. The Kindergarten of Eden, I told you before we started taping, I thought, oh man, clever turn of phrase, and a catchy title for a book, but it's much, much, much more than this. You have a video online that's been out there since about 2007. It's got about 630,000 views now.
I think it's 700,000 views on YouTube alone.
Who's counting?
I am.
But basically, it was the beginning of a speech, and obviously a great deal of this book has come out of that. It was a real seminal speech. And I think, for what it's worth, I think you are 100% over the target. Evan Sayet, ladies and gentlemen, has a grand unified theory of everything. It's a universal theory of how liberals think and why they think. And so we'll get into this. I want to get into this in some detail, but the operational problem, Evan, is that got you to where you are to come up with this theory is that we all know that we know many liberals. Conservatives want to think they're either stupid or they're evil, but we know many liberals who are not stupid. And we know many liberals who are not evil. Well, almost all of them are neither stupid or evil. Correct. So how do you explain this?
And we know this in no small part because both of us were liberals.
Yeah.
And I know that I wasn't. I got to be careful about the word stupid because we need to discuss. Because in some ways they are stupid. They don't lack for the ability to articulate. They don't lack for cleverness necessarily. But I always go back to Forrest Gump. Stupid is as stupid does. Stupid to me, I prefer a slow child who says 2 and 2 is 4. Than a Harvard University professor who can tell me why it's 8.
That's right.
All right, so when we're talking about stupid, they're not stupid as in they lack mental abilities. Is that they refuse to use those mental abilities because they're afraid that whatever they think might just be their bigotries.
You claim the operational premise of this book is that the liberal golden calf is indiscriminateness. It is the unwillingness to use their intellect to make a value judgment about one thing being better than another.
About anything.
Nothing
can be better than nothing.
Absolutely right. The fact that you've made a judgment makes you an evil person. What is it about indiscriminateness that powers this liberal mindset?
Well, I took a line from a great book called The Closing of the American Mind by Professor Alan Bloom. He was trying to explain why suddenly in the 1980s his students were also stupid. All right. Bloom didn't use that word. He's more diplomatic than I. What he said was the purpose of delaying your entry into the adult world to continue your education at the university level in the past was to be a scholar. It was to study and to think deeply and debate and discuss in order to discover the better art, the better literature, the better forms of governance.
Improving yourself.
And so on. Right? Suddenly in the 1980s, no coincidence, Bill, exactly the moment when the first children of the 60s began to reach their positions of power in the university and elsewhere.
Start teaching.
And just as the first children of the 60s began to matriculate, not only was the purpose of going to college, delaying your entry to the grown-up world to continue your studies, no longer to seek out the better, but almost every child denied the existence of the better. And Bloom concluded, and this is essential, he said they were raised to believe that indiscriminateness is a moral imperative because its opposite is discrimination. You see, anything you and I believe, anything anybody believes is going to be so tainted by our personal prejudices. Right? Prejudices we all have, can't help but have as part of the human condition. Right? Prejudice is based on the color of your skin, the nation of your ancestry, your height, your weight, your sex, and so on. Anything that you and I and anybody else believes is going to be so tainted by our bigotries that the only way not to be a bigot is to never think at all.
Or believe anything.
That's right.
So you use a great many great examples from pop culture in there, a lot of Springsteen, really remarkable stuff. But you use as sort of the liberal mantra to explain how this theory works. You use the John Lennon song, Imagine.
Absolutely.
And basically what John Lennon is saying, imagine there's no countries, imagine no religion, imagine all these other things. You're saying, if I understand you correctly, that liberals look back over 50,000 years of history, see an unending series of wars and conflicts, so that means that not only have we not found the right answer, but by now we would have found a right answer. There is no right answer. The reason that there's wars and conflicts is because people disagree, And if we could just get people to stop believing in things,
In
then they
anything.
wouldn't agree anymore.
Right,
They wouldn't be able to disagree because nobody believes anything.
Right, so what would you fight for? What would you disagree about? If nothing is better than anything else, if there is no religion, and by religion we're talking about seeking out the better moral code to live by. No countries, we're talking about constitutions and rights. And if there's nothing to think about, then there's nothing to disagree about. And if there's nothing to disagree about, then we're not going to fight. And if we don't fight, we're not going to go to war.
It's like the heat death of the universe. Entropy has succeeded. Nothing is warmer than anything else, so there's no energy flow. Everything's just passive, and there's one world government and no religion, and everybody's perfectly contented because nobody believes in anything or understands anything.
You know, I'm getting the sense, because everything you're saying is exactly what I believe and what I'm getting, that you could have just done this show by yourself.
Oh,
and
no,
I
no,
could have
no,
stayed
no,
up.
no, on the
No, I'm not
contrary.
saying you're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying everything you're saying, you get my book. You get it.
Because I have been working independently on these issues and thinking about these issues, but they were never understandable to me in terms of the motives. So what you're really saying here is that on some level, you come out basically and say that modern liberalism is arrested at about a 5-year-old mentality. And liberals will go, oh my God, how can you conservatives are the stupid ones. Right. But really what happens at 5 is right around 5, you begin to be able to have the mental ability to discriminate between this is better than this.
Right.
That's when you first go to kindergarten, when the indoctrination machine starts.
That's key too, yeah.
And so
that's the name of the book.
But yes, but this is the part I want to get to that's so interesting to me, Evan, because liberals tend to be atheists. They don't believe in an afterlife. They don't believe in paradise. They believe that humans are perfectible. This entire Rousseau theory. It's the unconstrained theory of man in Thomas Sowell's view.
Both of whom I refer to heavily in the book.
But what you're basically saying, this is such a profound insight to me, it's so profound. What you're basically saying is that what liberals are doing is they're looking for utopia on earth, and the only way to get back to the Garden of Eden is to regurgitate the apple of knowledge and not understand things anymore, because when you understand things, you can say, well, clearly this culture that murders homosexuals is inferior to one that treats them as equals.
And that might even lead you to recognize that some cultures are so inferior, I mean, some people have a problem with that word, but that they're so wrong that you might have to war to prevent their spread. And therefore, to prevent that war from happening, what they have to do is elevate in esteem and stature everything that objective evidence leads you to believe is worse. Raise it up to the middle. They have to attack everything that objective evidence and reason leads you to recognize as better and push it down to the middle till everything meets in the middle. And the perfect example, and I use it in the book, is Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11. Right? There's no one who believes that movie was an honest attempt to accurately portray the real events of that horrific day and its aftermath. Everybody knows this leftist, very talented filmmaker used his ample skills for one purpose: to make America look less good, to make Sodom look less evil.
Then why go fight? Then why go fight? This book has, by the way, of all the things that I remember from reading the book, the Seven Dwarfs, if the Seven Dwarfs were singing today in Obama's America, they'd be singing, according to Evan Sayet, they'd be singing, ho hi, it's home from work, stay I. Why is it, Evan, there's so much to talk about, but what you basically said is because of this inability to discriminate, to say one thing is better than another, you say that this is another profound insight.
And it's not even that big a book for all these profundities.
You said if these people were merely 100% stupid, they'd be right at least part of the time, in the same way the stop clock is right twice a day. But you say they're not only wrong on everything, they're as wrong they can be on everything.
They're diametrically, that's right.
Because you said their value system does what? You said it promotes the evil
over the good, wrong over the right, and the behaviors that lead to failure over those that lead to success. And the reason for that is simple. If no culture, no religion, no form of governance, no means of finance is better or worse than any other, then success, simply by its existence, is proof positive of injustice. Why should something succeed if it's not better than anything else?
Correct. If you can't discriminate that this man has a better business plan than this other guy, then the fact that this guy succeeded and this other guy failed is only explainable by the fact that he obviously has better connections, or there's racism working against the other guy. And so it justifies this whole thing.
Take it a little bit further, which is if success and failure is proof positive of injustice, then great success and great failure is proof positive of great injustice. So the more successful you are, and by the way, the same is true of good and evil.
Right.
Since there is no good and evil, anything society deems to be good can only be the beneficiary of society's bigotries.
So that has to be pulled down.
That has to be pulled down.
Because
It's a moral
because there is
imperative.
because there is no actual evil. These people who are evil are being oppressed by society. They have to be raised up.
By definition. Can I give a quick example? I don't know how we're doing on time. Barack Obama was asked at a certain point, do you believe in American exceptionalism?
Yeah, boy, I use this all the time.
Okay, and he gave a very clever, very politic answer in which he said yes, but made it clear he meant no. All right, he said, yes, I do, just like the Greeks believe in Greek exceptionalism and the Brits believe in British exceptionalism. By the way, I saw your take on it, and that's quite brilliant, why he chose those two examples. But, okay, if America isn't exceptional, then how did we get so rich and powerful?
Stole it.
We stole it. And because we are the richest or the most prosperous and most powerful nation in all of history, we must be the biggest thieves in all of human history. There's nothing else they can believe. That's why they don't succeed in making it meet in the middle. It's why they flip-flop good and evil.
That's right. Folks, we could go on about this all damn day. I have read a lot of political commentary about a lot of things that I have never once seen something that was so clarifying in terms of how so many smart people, so many good people, because they are basically good people, they want what's best, how so many smart, good people could be so mind-bogglingly stupid and evil in terms of the consequences of their action. That's right. Evan, thanks so much for coming and talking to us today. It's a pleasure to see you in here. And ladies and gentlemen, I cannot recommend this book highly enough. Be sure to get a copy of Evan's book. It's called The Kindergarden of Eden, How the Modern Liberal Thinks and Why He's Convinced That Ignorance is Bliss. You can find it on his website, which is evansayet.com. And honestly, folks, you will get actual, genuine moments of, oh my God, it's crystal clear to me now. You don't catch flack unless you're over the target, buddy.
There you go.
For PJTV, I'm Bill Whittle. We'll see you next time.